Rentals were the staple of passive income in the past. And a lot of people advocated for rentals because rentals basically what you want to do when you get a rental is you want to have the rent higher than whatever you have to pay for um the payment if you have a mortgage on the rental or whatever. Obviously, because you want to be able to make a little bit of a profit. But do you really make a profit? I just want to know, like, do they really make a profit? Now, like, they are building equity. Yes, that is true. Like, having rentals, you're building equity, 100%, and that's a great thing. And I'm not against uh, 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 having a house or having multiple houses, but there is risks with renting to people. For me, like, if I would never want to rent to people, that's not what I want to do. I think that's too much work. I'm not very good with fixing stuff. So like if I was like a carpenter or somebody that knows how to fix everything in a house, I definitely wouldn't mind, and like doing that. I definitely wouldn't mind like doing that, but somebody like me that would have to pay somebody else to maintain it, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth like all the stuff you have to know with like um running that business. And that's what you're doing. It just seems like it's more of a hassle. It doesn't seem like the reward it is as high as it should be when you have rentals. I'm not saying you can't, but what I'm saying is in 2021, 2020, I seen lockdowns. I seen the government force people to have to let people stay in their houses, in their rentals, and they didn't have to pay rent. Some of it went up to 18 months. Could you imagine you're renting out to somebody and the government says they don't have to pay you because we're having lockdowns? At the same time, the government paid them more money than their actual salaries. So not only did they not have to pay if they didn't want to. I think a lot of people paid their rent, but some people didn't. Maybe they got sued later on. I don't know. Maybe they claim in bankruptcy. I don't know. But like for me, what that was showing to me is how the government can put people into bankruptcy very easily by forcing the homeowners of the rentals to basically be slaves. Because if people aren't paying the rent, then who else is going to pay the mortgage on that rental? It's going to come down to the homeowner. He's going to have to do it. So he's going to have to figure it out. Either he's going to have to sell it or, go bankrupt. I don't know, lose all of his assets. Because the government decided that they wanted to have lockdowns and force him to not evict that person who decided not to pay. And at the same time, you have to maintain it. So like these people could have been destroying your property. And that's another thing. Like you have to vet people. Are they going to, you want to make sure you get your money every month, and you want to make sure they don't destroy your property as well. You have bumps and bruises. Like, yeah, when a tenant moves out, you probably got to repaint or stuff like that, like little minor things like that. But like people destroy people's houses, so you got to worry about that. It's just so much that has to go right to not screw you over. And I know, like, okay, what the government did in 2020, it was, what is that called? It was something that doesn't happen all the time, right? That doesn't happen all the time. Like the government isn't doing that all the time. That was like a one-time thing. But who's to say it can't happen again? Who's to say we can't have another pandemic, having more lockdowns, and the government deciding you can't evict that person, but you still are required to maintain it. You have you have to make sure that it's taken care of. And that's why I'm just like, rental properties for me, it just seems like other people might like it, they like to, like work on the houses or whatever, but it just seems to me like, man, it's more of a hassle, more of a risk than it's really worth at this point. Especially with the next generation coming up, and then they're not really being taught right. You're probably going to see more rentals destroyed because they they just don't care. So it's just like, I just don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have to deal with judging people and you're like, is this person gonna screw me over? Is it, yeah, you can look at their credit, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can do background checks, but people can change, and you know what I mean. So it just seems like the rentals for me, yeah, I'm not saying people shouldn't go do it. I'm just saying for me, I don't like the possibility of the government telling me I have to keep paying on my property that and let these people live for free. I don't like that, and that's a possibility now. The government has shown that they can do that. So I think that people need to be more about homeowners. Like, they need to be. We need to have less renters. We need to have more homeowners. That's what we need. People probably would take care of the property. People will take care of the property better if they own it. You put in the hard work to get it. You don't want to destroy it. If somebody hands you that, like, okay, somebody, like a kid. I get pissed off. I'm a kid. I get pissed off. I throw my controller at my TV. It breaks. Oh, mom, dad buys me a new TV. But if I never had that TV and then I went and I worked and saved for that TV, I think I'm going to think twice, especially if I don't have mommy and daddy to buy me a new TV, to throw my controller at that TV because I'm mad at the game. See what I'm saying? People respect their stuff more than somebody else's. Like me, when I'm renting places, I do the bare minimum, to upkeep it. I don't want any type of destruction. I don't intentionally try to destroy anything, but I don't go out of my way to make things better either because it's not my shit. So like, I think we need to get more towards ownership and less renting. And that's what I'm hoping with the tariffs. That's what I'm hoping with the future. I'm hoping BlackRock has to sell all of these homes because, like, it's stupid to keep paying property taxes. And that's another thing. What happens if you don't get tenants? Then you have to keep paying on that payment and the property taxes on that house. And who's to say that there's no limit on how high they can raise your property taxes? They can do whatever they want. They're the government. So if they want your property, all they got to do is raise the property taxes. And then, unless you have the money to pay those property taxes, you lose your assets. You lose your house. You lose your rentals or whatever. So, like, the government has a lot of power if they want to do these types of things. So for me, I'm just kind of like more like, I want to be more mobile, more being able to pivot. And the bigger, like, the more I have to worry about the it's hard to plan for the future, man. So you have to, like, be able to pivot to whatever happens. I just had an argument with the business owner, and I was saying, like, if your business isn't doing well, you have to pivot to something else while the market is correcting. Yeah, it sucks. I know, but, like, it's called being flexible. And hey, if the economy is dead for making houses right now, then you go to landscape, or I don't know, like, yeah, they're electricians, like he was saying, they're electricians making $50. Like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. Like, hey, we're pivoting to something else. We're going to be doing this now. Oh, you don't want to? Okay, then you can go. I don't know what to say. Like, we don't have any type of income coming for building houses. So, like, we're going to go ahead and start, like, I don't know, digging ditches for the county. Or, like I told him, I said, listen, man, we're about to have a lot of He builds houses around. Like, we're about to have a lot of fucking industry coming back, so we're gonna need a lot of people building manufacturing centers. So like, how about you do that's called being flexible. That's called learning new things. That's called like adapting and acquiring new talents, and not just being like relying on this one specialty. I just think that people who just rely on one specialty, that worked really well in the past, but I just think that that's you want to have you don't want to just be able to do one thing. You want to be able to adapt and learn new things, and then possibly like 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 dude, it sucks, man. Like, I lost my job, and now I'm open to doing whatever. I'm open to doing whatever. I'll do whatever. I'll like. Well, my plan is when I move back to Missouri, it's just whatever job hires me, I'll work. Like, it's gonna give me income. I don't care if I have to work at Walmart. That's what it's called. It's called surviving. You survive, and it sucks. It sucks. And I was telling him, like, this is what the problem is with businesses is they don't save for a rainy day. Like, you have to be able to pivot. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard to pivot to doing something else. Well, look at Elon, man. Look at he was doing PayPal, and then like he started doing SpaceX and Tesla and stuff like that. Like, those are different things. They're not the same. So like, that's how people need to be going forward. Elon is the staple. Learning, growing, adapting, and not just being like same old, same old. That's the thing, that mentality people need to get out of I have to keep doing this. I have to keep the same routine, doing the same thing. I can't do something different. And I'm wondering, like, the guy I used to be like really cool with, who just like took his life the other day. I just found out he got fired from his job that he worked at for like 18 years. Dude was a supervisor. I thought he was doing pretty good. I hung out with him a few times. Dude was really cool I was really cool with him at work. But he lost his job, and I'm wondering if like the lack of support, the lack of community, and then to top it off, him losing the only stable thing in his life, him not being able to adapt to something else. And I'm wondering if I would have went down that same path if I didn't leave the job I had, and get confidence that I can learn new things. I can adapt to new things. I don't have to do the same thing all the time. I can learn something else. I can try something else. And that's what people need to do. And it's not like it's something that you have to do forever, but you got to do what you got to do to pay the bills, man. So it's like you adapt. Like, okay, like, well, I got laid off, and I'm not getting any type of unemployment, so I got to find something. Maybe I become a police officer. Maybe I was a welder a couple of years ago, but now I'm a police officer now. I don't know. Border Patrol, military. Like, you go into the fields that where you think that you are needed. There are places hiring, but yeah, like some people, maybe they're welding, making $50 an hour. But maybe since they didn't handle their money right, like that business owner, he probably should have, like, like I said, saved and invested into assets to be able to, hey, maybe we're going to be down for 6 months. So I want to still be able to pay my employees, save for a rainy day or a few months. But that's what I'm saying is, like, you transition. Maybe instead of building houses, they go into landscape for a little bit, a few months. And if the electricians' egos are too big, then let them go. Then they can quit because there's no work. Or they can go out there and find their own work. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And it sucks that people are going to be displaced of jobs. But you have to be open-minded to trying something new, trying something different. Not being like, I am stuck in my ways and I refuse to try something different. And that's where we're at. I hope we make it out of this suffering, including the rich people, better off for everybody. My hope for the rich people is they wake up and realize what we're doing right now is not sustainable. People will rebel against us directly. We are taking all of the money where they can't even buy nothing. And we're just holding it. And we're making passive income, which is cool. But you got to invest back in us. You got to invest back in the environment you're taking from. You can't just take. You have to give back. You can't just get a tax cut from Trump in like 2016 and then buy back your stocks. No, you were supposed to invest in infrastructure in your company and the people. How about these people in this fast food? How about why aren't they investing in, like, we have the technology, why aren't they investing in more kiosks? We don't need people to take orders anymore. We don't need cash registers. I mean, you can have one open for people who still want to pay with cash. It's like paying with cash to me is like paying with checks. You know, it's just so outdated and slow. I would rather just put my card in there and have it read it and then just take instead of sitting here writing a check like the old days, or like I could pull out a 20, but then they have to count. It's just like, it's such a slow process with cash. It just reminds me, it's such an old, outdated, like cash is so outdated. Okay, you don't own I don't care about cash. I don't care. We have privacy coins in crypto. And another thing too, I want to talk about the stock market real quick again. I think it is hilarious. Hey, maybe karma's going to hit me. I'm just glad that rich people are finally feeling what we've been feeling. I'm seeing Andrew Yang complain about the tariffs like he's getting hit hard. Well, listen, we all knew the market needed a correction. If you follow this stuff at all, you know that the market wasn't going to keep going up. You know at some point, whether Trump wasn't going to be in there or where Kamala was going to be in there, tariffs or no tariffs, we were going to have a stock market collapse at some point because it is completely inflated. It's a huge bubble. We were going to have a correction. And if boomers were just worried about their 401ks and not investing in other assets like Bitcoin, if rich people were just worried about their stocks and not investing in other assets like Bitcoin, that's their fucking problem. They should have invested in Bitcoin. The stock market shouldn't be so high. Bitcoin should be way fucking higher than it is right now. That's on them. But guess what? They could still buy Bitcoin. They could still buy stocks. They should have had cash on the side for this to happen. If I was them and I had access to what they have, I would have some stocks that I don't think that the companies are going to go bankrupt, because that's how you lose. You only lose if you sell. That's it. Or if the company goes out of business. That's it. So I would have some stocks, yes, but I would have cash right now. Anybody who follows finances, the market, the economy, any of this, understands stagflation. They understand recession. They understand what these are. If we're in stagflation, if we're in a recession, cash is something that you want to be in so you can scoop up the assets that are on sale. Much like they did in the Depression. The rich people did in the Depression. They probably caused it. And when everyone sold off, they were sitting in cash, and here they come buying everything up for pennies on the dollar. This is what they should have been doing. This is what boomers should have been doing. This is what the stock market people should have been doing. They should have had cash. This is what Warren Buffett did. This is what he has a bunch of cash right now because he knows that this market was going to correct. You have to diversify your fucking assets. And the people who have everything put in the stock market are taking a huge risk. I took a huge risk by just investing in Bitcoin. If you do that, you're taking a huge risk. So, you diversify. You don't just have one crypto wallet. You don't just have one bank account. You have multiple. You have multiple credit cards. This is how people should be living. Multiple. What happens if somebody gets in your bank account, takes all your money, and you have all your money in there? How long does it take to get that money back? If you even get it back? Well, that's why you have some in one bank and some in another bank. And in case that happens, well, you're still good. You're not going to be done. So I think that I think there's people that probably over leverage themselves by how you over leverage yourself is you owe money on the debt that you acquire to buy the asset. Okay. And if that asset drops in price and you get scared and you don't have the income, whatever income you have coming in, to pay that debt, you're going to have to sell your assets. You're going to have to start selling them. And here's the thing is it could be bad where it's just you're instantly liquidated because you borrowed against your assets or whatever. In that type of scenario, or it's like how I was feeling about Bitcoin. I was sitting with Bitcoin, telling myself, I'm probably gonna need this cash that's sitting $5,000 in Bitcoin, in a few months. I can leave it at Bitcoin and hope Bitcoin goes up. Or I can sell it right now at $5,000, which I did, instead of in a couple months when I need that cash. Instead of in a couple months when I need that cash, that $5,000 is worth $2,000. It's worth $1,000 now. That's why you don't over leverage yourself. You have to be able to pay your fucking bills. If you can't pay your bills, you're done. You're going to have to... You could have sold... I could have... So hypothetically, in a couple of months, Bitcoin go up to $10 million, which I doubt. And it would have really benefited me by keeping my money in there. But I'm taking a huge risk, and that's what I'm saying. These people took a huge risk by putting all their eggs in one basket, putting everything into a 401k. 401k, I don't know, man. I don't know about a 401k. I feel like a 401k is stagnant with my money. I feel like you don't want your money stagnant. I feel like with inflation, with how the Fed works, how they want to devalue all of our value with 2% inflation every single year. That's theft. You're stealing from me that's their target. Now, has it been 2%? We wish inflation has been 2% over the last, but you can't when you print all that money out. So, yeah, it's just if we had zero inflation, yeah, 401k sounds appealing. Maybe people don't care about losing 2% a year, but if you're putting the bigger money you get, let's say you have $100,000, that 2%, you just lost $2,000 this year, probably next year, and you can see where this is going. So over 10 years, hypothetically, we just stayed at 2%. You just lost $10,000 over 10 years by keeping your money just in a 401k, where that $10,000 could have been. You got to keep money moving. That's the thing is rich people aren't keeping the fucking money moving. We need money in our economy so people like me can go and do things and buy things. They've taken it. They've taken it all. They won't pay us right. That's what I'm saying. So maybe I'm insane with all my videos. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I feel like I'm the only one out here saying that it's a tax on the rich. When I'm seeing like basically every leftist say that it's a tax on only the middle class and the rich are going to absorb the inflation. When I'm thinking to myself, this is what I think to myself. Working class. You know, let's say you want to buy this. Let's say like China made this, right? China made this. Okay. So you can buy that brand new from China with a 25% tariff. Maybe it goes up to 50, maybe it goes up to 100. So you buy this from China with those tariffs. Let me see. You buy this from China at 50% or whatever. Paid $100 for this. Let's just say it's $100. Well, I have the same thing, but it's used, and I'm selling it to you for, instead of buying the new thing for $100 because your ego is so high you need everything new. Well, you can buy this one off of me for $50. I'm selling it for 50. You know, like the left. Holy crap. The left acts like we don't have any type of commodities here. They act like we don't have clothes. They act like we don't have used clothes. We don't have thrift stores or anything like that. We don't have Facebook Marketplace. We don't have eBay. We can't. We just have nothing, and we always need everything brand new from China. That's how they act. They act like we can't sell the things we already have to other people that may want them or need them. So, the working class, we're used to being screwed. We're used to having to buy shit used or you know, it's kind of like a kid. You know, like the lowest kid in a family where you get all the hand-me-down clothes. That's what it feels like to be in the working class. So we already can survive. Yeah, well, food inflation go up. Okay, so I guess we'll work a couple more hours a week to pay for that, for inflation on food for a little bit. You know, we do what we gotta do to survive. We'll survive, but it seems like the rich people are being hit extremely hard right now. What it seems to me is like, which I hear nobody talking about, and I could be completely wrong. I'm not. Obviously, I'm a nobody. I'm uneducated. What was I gonna say? I think the tariffs are a tax on the rich, and it's a tax on us. But I think it's hurting the rich way more than it's hurting us, because we can survive. We don't need everything brand new. They do. They do because of their egos. That's what I think. We are survivors. They are not. The only way that the rich people survive is off of our backs. They need people like us to do everything for them because they're basically worthless people in their own personal life. They can't live their own personal life. They can't live my life. It's like they're like little kids that don't know how to do anything. They weren't taught nothing. That's what they basically are. That's what rich people are. Not all, but I'm just saying, like, they're basically completely useless in their own lives. And they would have to go back to, I'm not saying they can't learn, but I'm saying like they would have to accept a huge decrease in their standard of living. Like, yeah, we've already had to deal with it, and we've been dealing with it, and you're going to deal with it now. And that's I don't like to see people suffer, but when these rich people who are leading our society keep fucking us over, they deserve everything that they get. Kids come first. We should be propping up our Gen Z. Who's going to pay the taxes for the rich people? I mean, for Social Security. Who's going to pay the taxes to be able to pay old people Social Security in the future? If there's no Social Security because our government officials have been incompetent or they robbed it. Who's going to pay it? Well, people aren't having kids. You're not doing anything to make an environment for Gen Z to want to have kids. And then you're going to rely on these people, which they're not having kids, to fund you, the baby boomers. When you have less people, like they're gonna have to work, they're gonna have to be taxed at almost 100%. What do you think they're not going to be able to support? They're going to be taxed so hard that they're probably going to be homeless, and then to be able to house some old person on Social Security who's called them lazy, who's had way more economical advantages in their lifetime to do something good with themselves other than only rely on Social Security for their retirement. If you only rely on Social Security for your retirement, you fucked up. Especially you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing if you're like you're one of us, but man, the baby boomers have had they divorce like so much. So much damage to our society has been caused by the baby boomers. It's unbelievable. And that toxic crap has just been passed down from generation to generation. Most of these baby boomers should have just stayed with their initial wives and raised their family and been happy with that house. But no, they wanted to go ahead and, I need a prettier wife, or, whatever. I need to have a second family. Like, what? How many second families were around in the 1940s? Look at how many second families are around now since the 1970s. Like, these people have had it so good, and a lot of that's what I'm saying. Like, if they've had it so good financially to be able to pay for their college by a summer job, or buy a house for like pennies on the dollar back in the day, or a car or whatever, compared to now, and they have only Social Security to rely on at this point. Dude, they don't understand that Social Security is turning into welfare. Because it's gone. It's gone. I paid into Social Security for 27 years. I'm not getting it. So I'm trying to think of creative ways to take care of myself when I'm older, instead of just like hoping Social Security will be there for me. And this is the mentality people should have. That's it.